I know that's stupid, and I know that's not how the world works, but... Hello world, welcome back to another video. First of all, if you're wondering why I look like this, it's because I did a New Year's dive this morning. It was really awesome and really shit at the same time, but mostly it was really cold, and I'm still cold, and my hair is still not completely dry, so I'm all wrapped up. I have a hot water bottle here, and I'm just trying to get my body temperature up to normal human. Anyway, welcome back to another video and welcome to the new year. Last year I did this epic 2015 wrap-up and 2016 resolutions video, and as we were about midway through December, I realized that I hadn't really looked back on the resolutions that I made in that video at all. So in addition to giving you an overview of the books that I read in December, as this is my December wrap-up, I also wanted to take a look at some of the resolutions I made and maybe make some new ones for the upcoming year. So let's start with the wrap-up. The first book that I read in December was Cricket Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, but I already talked about this book in my November wrap-up because I read most of it in November, and also I read Six of Crows, to which this is the sequel, in November, and I really wanted to include both of those books in the same video. After that, I read The Wanderers by Meg Howry. This is an arc that one of my co-workers got me at the Frankfurt Book Fair. Well, I say got me, it was just given to him at one of the stands that he visited, and he didn't really want it, so he gave it to me, but I'm really happy that he did because I enjoyed this book a lot. It's scheduled for publication in March, by the way. It's mostly about these three people who form an international crew of astronauts, kind of handpicked to man the first human mission to Mars. The story is not about the mission itself though, it's about a simulation that they do to prepare for the mission. But really it's about these three people and their relationships with certain members of their family, and it's about these family members as well. They also get point of view chapters, and it's about some of the people behind the project. To me, this book had sort of a dreamlike quality, kind of like suspended animation. These three people have been cut off completely from the rest of the world for the sake of this simulation, and it's interesting to see what it does to them as well as to the people they leave behind. I might do a full review of this book because I feel like I have much more to say than I can put in this one video. I ended up rating it 3 out of 5 stars, but I don't know honestly how much that rating means. It's just that I had to fill something in, and I was still very much processing what I had just read, and it's also very open-ended, which always means that it takes me a bit longer to get over the book hangover. But I'm considering upping my rating to 4 out of 5 stars because I really did enjoy it so much, and 3 stars just seems like barely enough to cover it. After The Wanderers, I found myself in a little bit of a reading slump. I still had a couple of books on my pile that I meant to get to, but I'm very much a mood reader, and none of the books that I had at the ready at that particular moment really excited me. So I decided to leave them be for a while and indulge in a bit of a guilty pleasure, so I picked up Stars Above and FAIREST by Marissa Meyer. These are both novellas in the Lunar Chronicles series. Stars Above is a collection of short stories about many of the characters from the original series. It reads a bit like fanfiction, not because the writing is different or worse from the original series, but just because this kind of content is what I would typically expect to see in fanfiction. In this case, I think it's mostly a way for the author to describe and explain some of the stuff that didn't necessarily fit into like the core series because of the timeline, or because it just was too long or too complicated, or because it just didn't fit the plot at the time. But I like that she found a way to share these stories. Because I liked being reunited with these characters again, and also in many cases seeing their past experiences that have really formed who they are, and also in some cases having a glimpse into their future and seeing the people that they've become. FAIREST is about Queen Lavanna, who is the main antagonist in the series, and this book is sort of a background story of her rise to power as well as her struggle to stay in power. It's not one of these tragic background stories that you sometimes see about how this character is actually really misunderstood and how they had this really tragic childhood and all that jazz. I mean, she did have a very difficult childhood, and I have a theory as to, you know, some of the stuff that formed her into the person that she ended up being. But it's definitely also very clear from this story that she has a genuinely nasty personality, and I like that this book is not trying to make excuses for her. Knowing her background story also gives her character a little bit more depth regarding the rest of the series. Finally, I started Birds of America, which is a short story collection by Lorrie. I had intended to finish this before the end of the year, but I didn't like it that much, so honestly I don't know if I'm gonna finish it. If I do, you'll see it in my January wrap-up. So this brings my total of books read in 2016 to 70, which is a bit above my Goodreads goal of 65. For this year I'm setting my goal to 75 because I want it to be a bit of a challenge, but I don't want it to become too much of a chore. I do still want to enjoy books and not just fly through them for the sake of the goal. I know there's been a bit of a trend recently where people don't do TBRs anymore, they don't do reading goals or any of that stuff because they don't want the pressure. And while I do understand why people would feel that way about it and why they would say that it feels like pressure, I don't personally experience it as such. To me, a yearly reading goal is not an obligation, it's not like set in stone, it's more of a motivation. It helps to keep me going and it helps me pick up the next book when maybe otherwise I would have fallen into a bit of a reading slump. I did a video on TBR pressure quite a while ago, but if anyone is interested in hearing more about my yearly reading goals and what it means to me to have such a goal and why I keep doing it when so many people are dropping it, I would love to make a video about that. So if you're interested, definitely leave a comment down below. Last year I shared some of my bookish resolutions, so I figured I'd look back and see how I did. I was doing my internship at the ABC at the time, and I said in my resolutions video that I really wanted to secure a job there, even though I also recognized that it wasn't a real resolution because I didn't really have any control in that matter. But I did end up getting offered a job there and I still work there, so yay me. I also said I wanted to get better at editing, especially moving on to something that is a bit more fancy than Movie Maker, which I've been using since the start of my channel. This is something I still want to do and something I still haven't done. I've tried a few times with new editing software, but I never go through with it because I just want to put up my video then and there. I don't want to go through this whole learning curve first. Also, if I'm completely honest, my reasons for wanting fancier editing software have more to do with feeling that I have to than thinking that I actually need to. Like, I know there's room for improvement, but I do think my videos look fine the way they are, and the reason that I want to move on to something else is because Movie Maker has this sort of stigma of being the beginner's editing software, which it is, but it's also something that I like and something that I know how to use. Finally, I said that I would like to host some sort of readathon. This is still something that I would love to do. I just haven't found that like one idea yet that I really want to pursue. But to be fair, I also haven't really sat myself down and thought about it. So for this year's resolutions, I'm definitely carrying the readathon one over with the side note that I need to take some time to sit down and actually plan out what I want to do. Second, I would love to create a tag. I love doing tag videos. I love watching people do tag videos, and I think watching people do my tag and seeing the answers that they come up with would be great. Third, I have this reading bingo thing that one of my co-workers made with a little bit of input from me. I'd love to complete that this year. I'll do a whole separate video on the bingo card and the prompts and the books that I'm already planning to read for certain prompts, so keep an eye out for that. Reading wise, I know that a lot of book to film or book to series adaptations that I'm interested in are coming out this year, so that's definitely also something that I want to kind of be involved in, but I'll also do a separate video on that. I also want to do some vlogging every once in a while, like traditional vlogging where you film yourself doing activities. It's something that I like doing, but I'm a little bit like shy and awkward about doing that in public, which is why I think it might be good for me to try that. Another resolution is to finally start doing something with the owl contest. I don't know how many of you are new and might not know about this, so quick recap. This little guy is Sprite and he appears in every one of my videos, and if you are the first person to comment with the timestamp of when he appears, you get an owl point. This is the moment, this is the timestamp, go. Currently in the lead is Lucy from Lucy M, who just rebooted her channel, so definitely go check her out. I have a couple of ideas about the contest, which I will talk about later, but I just wanted to let you know that I haven't forgotten about this and that I still plan to do something with this. Finally, I've been seeing a lot of Vlogmas videos in December, also on BookTube, which I think is kind of a recent development. It just looked like so much fun that I decided I want to do a Vlogmas thing as well this year. I'm not sure exactly as of yet how I'm going to do this. Depending on what I'll actually be doing in December, I might want to vlog some of my days, but I also want to do book talks and tags and all that stuff, just like regular BookTube content, except every day. But I do still have like 11 months to brainstorm about that, so I think I'll figure something out. So I think those are all my BookTubey resolutions for 2017. I'll try to stay on top of them a bit more this year. If you guys are interested, I could maybe do like an update every couple of months to see how I'm getting along. Then, I don't usually do this, but I did it last year, so I'm gonna do it again. I want to take a brief moment to point out to you that I have a Patreon account, which means that you can become my personal sponsor, basically. If you like what I make, and if you like what I'm planning to make, and if you want to help me achieve my goals, you can pledge to donate a certain amount, starting from like super tiny amounts each month. And that'll just give me that little bit of extra security. I love making videos and I love doing all of this. And I have a lot of other plans that I want to realize, but which I just can't do without some support. I might actually do a whole separate video on this as well, because I feel like I have a lot to say about this topic. Anyway, go ahead and check out my page. Even if you don't specifically plan to become a patron, just have a look. There's a reward system as well, which is customary for crowdfunding things, I think, so definitely check that out. If you have any advice or any ideas to help me out, that would be great too. I love this channel and I love this tiny community that has formed around it. And I want it to grow and I want it to become even more awesome, because I feel like there's a lot more potential in there. So any help or advice or support from you guys would be very much appreciated. Thank you to all my long-term subscribers for sticking with me for yet another year. To all the newbies, welcome, thank you for subscribing to me. I love getting to know you guys, so definitely contact me on social media if you want to. I'm very active on Twitter and Instagram, and I plan to become even more active and consistent especially, so check that out if you're interested. Alright, that's all I have for today. I hope you are well, and I hope we're all heading into a wonderful new year together. Thank you for watching, I hope you like this, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye!